Hi everyone, it's Hannah from Hannah's Decodes, and today I thought I'd read a little bit from our author and kind of spiritual guy, I suppose, and his name is Neale Donald Walsh, and he's written I think three or four books in a series called Conversations with God, and it's I found all books really interesting, and you don't have to be religious to read it or not. But it was very interesting. He did the called spontaneous writing. So when he was asking God or spirit questions, and then he'd just write down on paper whatever answer he received, and it was really quite insightful. So I enjoyed that. And so he's written a little book called The Little Soul and the Sun. And again, you don't have to be religious or believe in God to read it, but it's quite a nice um, insight into spirituality and our sort of collective conscious psyche and how things might work on some level, spiritual level. And the book is illustrated by Frank uh, Riccio or Riccio, Riccio. A little bit dyslexic, so who knows how you pronounce it. But that's the book. So I thought I'd read a little passage, a couple of little passages that really made me think about our role as coming here on Earth and our interaction with people that are close to us or not close to us. And I thought it was kind of quite nice and quite insightful. This book's actually for children, but it's really nice just to read and but for any age, I think. So I'm actually going to look down and have the book away from in front of me because I think it blocks out the sound of my voice being picked up by the computer. So I'll give you a little rundown. It's about a little soul, I'm assuming, who's up in heaven. And this soul seems like a new soul. And this soul is talking to God about what it would like to experience when it potentially comes to have a life on earth. And God is explaining the state of the soul's condition and the people on earth and their condition is perfect and nothing needs to be forgiven or resolved or because we're all perfect, but we play these roles on earth to experience different emotions, um, forgiveness and all that kind of stuff. So I'll read you a couple of little um, paragraphs, and I'm hoping I'm not doing any naughty copywriting or anything, but I'll write um, Neale Donald Walsh's name down in the comments, and hopefully some people might go and have a look and read. So the little soul asked, "What is darkness?" The little soul asked. God replied, "It is that which you are not." "Will I be afraid of the dark?" cried the little soul. "Only if you choose to be," God answered. "There is nothing really to be afraid of unless you decide that there is. You see, we are making it up. So we are making it all up. We are pretending." "Oh," said the little soul, and felt better already. Then God explained that in order to experience anything at all, the exact opposite of it will appear. It is a great gift. God said, because without it, you could not know what anything is like. You could not know warm without cold, up without down, fast without slow. You could not know left without right, here without there, now without then. And so, God concluded, when you are surrounded with darkness, do not shake your fist and raise your voice and curse the darkness. And then I'll fill in the gaps because I'm not going to read you all the book, but I'll fill in the little gaps. So this little soul wants to experience forgiveness, and the conversation continues with God or the Son that he might describe. Oh no, he describes it as God. the conversation the little soul has continues with God. And while the conversation's going on, all these other little souls gather around and are listening. And one little soul comes up and says that it would be very happy to help the other little soul who wants to experience forgiveness to come and into the earth plane with this little soul and lower its vibration and become something quite negative that this little soul can experience and then have the opportunity to forgive. So it was then that the little soul realized a large crowd had gathered. Souls had come from far and wide, from all over the kingdom. For the word had gone forth, the little soul was having this extraordinary conversation with God, and everyone wanted to hear what they were saying. Looking at the countless other souls gathered there, the little soul had to agree. None appeared less wonderful, less magnificent, or less perfect than the little soul itself. Such was the wonder of the souls gathered around, and so bright was their light that the little soul could scarcely gaze upon them. Who then to forgive? Asked God. As God mentioned before, we are all perfect. Boy, this is going to be no fun at all, rumbled the little soul. I wanted to experience myself as one who forgives. I wanted to know what that part of special felt like. And the little soul learned that it must feel what it must feel like to be sad. But just then a friendly soul stepped forward from the crowd. Not to worry, little soul, the friendly soul said, I will help you. Will you? The little soul brightened. But what can you do? Why, I can give you someone to forgive. You can? Certainly, chirped the friendly soul. I can come into your next lifetime and do something for you to forgive. So will I read on? Oh, I'll read on because it's quite nice. But why? Why would you do that? The little soul asked. You who are a being of such utter perfection, you who vibrate with such a speed that it creates a light so bright that I can hardly gaze upon you. What could cause you to want to slow down your vibration to such a speed that your bright light would become dark and dense? What could cause you, who are so light that you dance upon the stars and move throughout the kingdom with the speed of your thought, to come into my life and make yourself so heavy that you could do this bad thing? Simple, the friendly soul said. I would do it because I love you. So it goes on a little bit, but I just think it's so nice. such a nice explanation maybe of perhaps the workings that happen away or above or somewhere off this earth plane. And it made me think about the relationship I had with my father. And he wasn't a bad person, but he definitely seemed kind of disinterested in being a father. So I suppose there was that feeling a lot of the time of neglect and, as if he didn't really care, but he probably did on some level, but it never showed, or um, perhaps later in life it did. In his life, it did start to show, and you could tell and he actually said he felt sorry for how he was as a father. So that's all good. But often when people are so close to you, it's quite hard to forgive. And reading this book reminded me that perhaps I too wanted the opportunity to forgive someone and wanted to experience the emotion of love and feeling loved. And to feel that, you have to feel a little bit neglected, like you experience the opposite to feel loved. And then you carry that experience of what you actually didn't want to experience with you. And I changed and brought up my children quite differently to how I was brought up with. Perhaps I've been, around a little too much, and I don't know. I don't think I've been smothering, but I've really wanted to be there and have have let them have an experience of that I'm here for my children. I'm here for them. So I thought that was really interesting. And I can remember when my father died, and it was quite a sad death. He had a stroke, and we all knew he was going to have a stroke. He had carotid arteries in his neck, and so he knew that this a stroke would most likely be the way he'd die, and he had all these plans. He didn't want to go to a nursing home. He wanted to be made comfortable as possible, and and exit. So that, and my brother and my other relatives understood that, and so we went with his wishes and spoke to doctors, and it all went ahead as he planned and wished, which was great. So that was really nice that his exit happened the way he wanted it to. But I can remember it was a very long time between having this very serious stroke and him leaving the planet or passing over, whatever you want to call it. And it was about 6 days, and we're all in the hospital every day for many, many hours. And that was fine, but it was kind of really, I find hospitals very exhausting. So I found I'd get home and be really emotionally drained. You're seeing your father in that situation. And so it was very exhausting and draining. So the night before he passed away, we went in there and said, okay, you've had enough. It's time to move on. And we all took turns in going in there and having a chat to him while he's very unconscious and not with it. And I said a little kind of mantra. I can't really remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of, you are safe, you are loved, you're free, or it's time to exit, or something like that. And I said that a few times, and I had my hand on his arm, and I was watching him, and his skin started glowing with gold, and I was like, my God, what's happening? And then it sort of almost started bubbling up with gold and light sort of coming from his body. And I can remember like taking my glasses off and seeing this, making sure I was actually seeing what I was seeing, and that it wasn't some kind of reflection on my glasses or something like that. And I can remember later, I went out and spoke to a relative, and I started to say what I'd seen, and I could just tell it just didn't compute. She thought I was a bit nutty, so I stopped in my tracks and didn't explain anymore. But explaining to other people that have had experiences with this kind of thing, one woman said to me, who was she called herself a healer, she said, I've had the privilege of seeing the soul kind of getting ready to exit the body, and in a physical sense, and what that is, and seeing the purity of our soul and the light and everything. And at the time, I was like, pure? Was it was my dad really that kind of pure light and soul? And I couldn't imagine it. And I just thought, why would he be so pure and special and all that kind of stuff? And then for weeks after that, I just kept seeing like a mist rising from the earth. If I sat still in nature, I'd just see this kind of hazy mist rising up. So it had a profound effect on me. He's exiting and what I saw, but I had no reference for it, I suppose, and put it into a context that made sense. So anyway, so I can remember this woman saying, wow, I've had this privilege to see this great being exit. And I kind of couldn't fathom him being this perfect being of light. But reading this little book, which is a kid's book, it all started to click in and make sense. So I thought it was really, really nice to read that, and that my relationship with my dad was great in that respect. I learned so much, and I feel like I can forgive him. Not that I want to do it again, but I feel like I can forgive him for perhaps faults or his role in my life. That wasn't the best at times. But then on another level, perhaps I need forgiveness. I don't know what I've done. Perhaps I've really, you know, unnerved people. Who knows? So anyway, I just thought that was a really, really nice kind of clarity, whether you believe it or not, on our roles and our relationships here through the little soul and the sun. I thought that was really nice. And I highly recommend seeing it. There was also something else I was going to say. Oh, I was going to mention, because lots of people talk about, where they think they go. Some people believe they go to heaven when they die, which is great. Some people believe they go to the Buddha land. Some people believe they'll probably go to hell because they haven't been doing the great, haven't had the best life. Other people believe they're going to be in some kind of natural world, or they'll come back as an animal, or whatever. Or some people believe in nothing. They'll, it's just a nothingness when they exit the planet. My gut feeling, and this is just me and probably has, I understand if it has absolutely no truth or reasoning with anyone else, but I just thought I'd share it. My gut feeling is you go where you believe you'll go. So I think if you believe in nothing, you have the opportunity to kind of experience a near nothingness. And perhaps that'll last for minutes, years, eons, I don't know, cotillions of years, who knows? And then there might just be a little spark that goes, hang on, this is a little bit boring, or I'm coming out of this, or whatever. And same, I think it might be the same with heaven. If you believe you'll go to heaven, you go to heaven and you're in this paradise, and however long that lasts for, years, hundreds, millions of years. And then perhaps the same thing happens where you go, okay, I've kind of done this now. What's next? So that's my little take on it. And I kind of, yeah, don't really think too much about where I'll go and what I'll do. Perhaps I'll have more knowledge when I'm in that transition or whatever after I've passed over. Who knows? So that was kind of probably a longish one, but I thought it was nice and kind of good fun. And I really liked that reading. Perhaps that'll be my role, reading, the odd story. Anyway, I think that's it. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.